Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is your brother Sam and a very warm welcome back to the Sam of Somalia channel. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about verbs. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of verbs and grammar generally, but Somali verbs and Somali grammar, now that's serious business. So in this video we're going to be talking about Somali verbs and different forms of Somali verbs. So that's what I'm going to get into, but just before we give a shout out to our sponsors, verbs are... for those of you who don't know, doing or being words. And when we talk about verb forms, really what we mean is the same kind of origin of the verb, but you might add things on the beginning or the end, or you might change the shape of it to give a slightly different meaning. So, for example, if we were to have a verb in English like to write, to write, we might have another form of that verb meaning to rewrite, if you write something again. We might have another verb to co-write, as in to write something with another person. And then other verbs you might be able to put "un" at the beginning to like undo something. You can't say unwrite, but you can say undo, or like to de. You can't say to de-write something, but you can say like to motivate and to demotivate someone. Like in English, that's kind of the closest thing that we have to verb forms. But I don't think that our grammarians acknowledge them as different forms. I think we just teach them as just different verbs. And obviously those of you who are students of Arabic, definitely if you're my Arabic students, then you'll know about Arabic verb forms. You might have like, a verb, darasa, meaning to study, and then you'll have what we call the form 2, the darasa, which means to make somebody else study or to teach. And that's where we get the word mudarris for a teacher. So that's kind of like what different verb forms are. And in Somali, there are 5. So we're going to talk about those 5 Somali verb forms right after I spend a little minute just telling you about the very, very kind sponsors of our channel. So if you haven't heard of Italki, Italki are an app that you can download on your phone, or on your tablet, or they have a pretty strong desktop game as well. You can just go to their website, italki.com, and there you will find a whole database of language teachers from all over the world, people who are native speakers and can help you achieve a level of fluency as well. So you actually get human contact. It's not like pre-recorded lessons or something robotic that you speak into or anything like that. It's not like an app like that. It's actually a platform to actually connect with teachers from around the world. Really, really affordable. All the lessons are really affordable. Like you can get lessons for as little as like $6 or $7 for languages including Chinese, Arabic, Russian, and even Somali. Now Swahili as well as on there, as well as sign language, British Sign Language, American Sign Language, and International Sign Language too. I can offer you $10 of credits to use on Italki when you pay for your first lesson. So pay for your first lesson, and then you can get $10 if you used my link that I'll put in the description below. So that's a little thing about Italki. Italki have been sponsors of this channel for 6 months now. We're just finishing our contract now. But they've been sponsors of our channel for a little while, so I'm very, very grateful to those guys. They have an awesome website and platform, and those guys are awesome, so go check them out. So let's get into it. So there are 5 forms of verbs in Somali. They're ordered like this. The way that you label them is form 1, there's form 2A, 2B, 3A, and 3B, and that's how you acknowledge them, and that's like across academic or like Western studies of Somali grammar, that's how all the books refer to them. Like something I mentioned on my channel before is the Somali language teaching community are doing a really good job of keeping the grammar terms under wraps at the moment. Unfortunately, because Arabic has such strong teaching traditions in both the Muslim world and in the Western world, sometimes the terminologies go all over the place. Like students of Arabic can probably tell you that the classical or like Muslim tradition of teaching Arabic uses very different grammar terms to what we do in like a Western tradition of teaching Arabic. Like even when I say forms 1 and forms 2 of a verb, people who study Arabic in like a classical sense and actually do sarf in like a classical sense, they probably wouldn't have used those terms. But Somali is doing a pretty good job of all of the books using them, including, I'll show you them actually, the books I've got up here. Both the grammar books, both written by Martin Orwin and by Liban Ahmed. These books you can get them in my Amazon store. I'll leave a link in the description. So if you want to buy any of these books, you can buy them. That helps support the channel too. But so both of those books use these terminologies, even though the authors don't know each other. I don't believe them. They have any association with each other. But so what are they? Okay, so the form 1. The form 1 is just where we have just a normal verb without anything stuck on the beginning or the end. And an example that I wanted to give to you, I've got a couple written down. whenever you hear a verb just with this a on the end, I'm going to give examples of all of these just in normal past tense. So if you hear the word abay, عنay, كينay, بسي, طاسي, those are just form 1 verbs, okay? And they're just plain normal form 1 verbs. You'd conjugate a normal form 1 verb in the past tense just by KNA. If you're saying like I brought something, you know, wanku KNA, I brought it to you. Wanku KNA is how you'd use that. Form 2A, you know, the reason why you use it is to like cause another person to do it. So for example, when I mentioned the verb toss, meaning to get up, the verb tossi is the way of causing someone else to get up. Tossi, and that's the form 2A. And you would say tossiate when you add this little I on the end. So the form 1 would be toss, to get up. Tossi would be to cause someone else to get up. And then when you conjugate in the past tense, tossiate. So you just add an I. You just add an I on the end onto the form 1 to make it to cause somebody else to do that thing. You can't do it with all verbs. I mean, like you have the verb meaning to eat, and you say one ate, say like I ate, but you can't say like one ate. You can't say one ate to mean like I caused someone else to eat. You can't use it with all verbs. Just there are some verbs that do behave like that. So that's the form 2. Form 2A, sorry. Form 2B, what you do with it is you usually create it by taking an adjective or a noun, and you just add 2 E's on the end. You add like an air sound on the end to make it into a verb. So if we have like the word for white, which is ad, so the verb adde means to make something white, or in Somalia it kind of has the connotation of clarifying something, making something clear. Arabic does that too, but yeah, the verb adde means to make something white, and that's sort of form 2B's job. Cool. Form 3A, if we take an example of a form 2B verb, which is Georgie, which means to stop. Yeah, it means to stop, but that kind of takes an object. To stop somebody else is Georgie. If you say like Georgiate, I mean like one Georgiate, it means I stopped someone. I mean I stopped somebody else. But the verb jog sot, the verb jog sot, which is a form 3A, that means to just to stop. That's why the imperative is just jog sot. If you tell someone to stop, you say jog sot. So that's the form 3A, and the past tense would be jog sadait. When you have this o on the end of the verb, you would get rid of that and have ada, and because we're conjugating into the past, we just say jog sadait. Yeah, one jog sadait, I stopped. One jog sadait. Cool. And then the form 3B. Okay, yeah. So that's similar. The form 3 generally. So sometimes when it's taught, you'll just be taught some rules for form 3 generally, and then later it'll just be broken down into form A and from 3A and 3B. Sorry, and the only reason for that is because they just look different. It's just not because they have a different meaning. The meaning of them is just taking a verb which would have been transitive and making it intransitive. That's the right way around. So yeah, it has no object when you use it in the form 3. So that's how I mean. Like the verb jog sot doesn't have an object. It's just you stopping. You're not stopping somebody else. You're just stopping, and that's why it's a form 3. So the next one, a lot of you will know the verb fur. Fur means to open. Means to like open the door. Al-bab ka mafuri karta. That's something you might hear. You say like, can you open the door? Al-bab ka mafuri karta. So the verb fur means to open something, but to just open, to just become open, or to just open something for yourself, not for anybody else. You take the verb fur and you make it foro, and the way you conjugate it is you say forotate. You have a t in there to make it 3B. So you'd say one foray if you're saying I opened something, like for somebody else. But you'd say one forotate if you're saying I opened it for myself. I've done a video before. I have a video. If I can find it, I'll link it up in the description as well, where I think it's about pouring or something. The verb to pour. The verb to pour generally is just shub. You say in Somali, or to like put food out. But it can be to pour as well. Shub comes from a Somali sub. To pour. I think it's that verb that I talk about in that video. But how is it? But I made a point in a video about in Somali, the simpler form of the verb is the one to do that thing for somebody else. So fur is a good example of that. So one furai, it means I opened the door. I opened something, but for somebody else is implied. But one furtait, the more kind of complicated form of the verb, is to do something for yourself. As in, like, the Somali language makes it easier to do things for other people. You know, the expression of doing something for other people is an easier mood to access in Somali, which is just nice. You know, it's just a nice thing about language, about the Somali language, that it does that. When I first learnt that, I kind of imposed my own ideas about Somali tribes helping each other, or, you know, in families. You know, I don't know, the language reflects a more family-orientated peoples or whatever. I don't know if any of that is fair. I don't know if any of that is kind of me just imposing my own ideas of the Somali people upon them. But regardless, that's the case with the language. So, those are the 5 forms. Okay, those are the 5 different forms of verbs. Just a very, very quick run through of them, just to introduce you to the idea of Somali having 5 different forms of verbs. Forms 1, 2a, 2b, 3a, 3b, and they carry slightly different nuances between them, and they look slightly different and are conjugated slightly different too. So that's everything for this video. My next video will be my last video for a while, at least. It might be my last video ever, but Allah knows best about that. So next video is going to be on New Year's Eve, and that's going to be my last video ever. Well, it might be my last video ever. It might just be my last video for 3 months, and I'm going to explain why I'm taking a bit of time off in my next video, so make sure you watch that if you're interested in it, if you care. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in that video. So you guys take it easy and have a really nice day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.